Calvin Kattar versus Josh Emmett, the UFC Fight Night, is nearly upon us. Both fighters are looking to make a statement and a career-defining win against each other because a big enough win will give them the green light from the UFC to challenge for the UFC Featherweight World Championship. My prediction will be that Calvin Kattar will win a decision. After being on the wrong side of one of the greatest ever MMA performances, Calvin Kattar returned at the start of this year against Giga and looked phenomenal. Either Max Holloway just knocked some sense into him, or just the skills and things he's been working on in the gym are just falling into place right now, but he looks damn good. And I think in this fight, his footwork alone will give Josh Emmett so many problems like it did for Giga. Although obviously, unlike in that fight, Kattar won't be looking to crowd Josh Emmett's kicks, but just the constant subtle adjustments of the distance and the angles were enough to freeze Giga and pretty much not allow him to throw any of his big shots. And obviously that's what Josh Emmett is looking to do. He possesses potentially the greatest power in that division's history, so it's not confusing as to why he looks and almost relies on that power more times than not. However, if Kattar stays as active and as purposeful in his movement as he did in his last fight, I think that'll be enough to stifle Josh Emmett's power-oriented offense, and it'll be enough to win himself the decision over the 5-round fight. Co-main event, Donald Cowboy Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. Two veterans of MMA return after rather long layoffs to try and entertain and put on a show for us fans. My prediction is that Joe Lauzon will win a TKO victory in round number 1. With Joe the younger of the two at 38 years old, I think the main things to consider in this fight, in my opinion, is how their previous performances went. Although undoubtedly a legend of this sport, Cowboy remains winless in his last 6 bouts, and especially in his last fight against Alex Moreno, hasn't looked anywhere near like his younger self. Compared to his own standards, he's looked quite slow and stiff, and he's been hurt quite regularly, which obviously at 39 years old especially, isn't a great thing to be making a habit of. We can't be too sure on how Joe will look, considering his last fight was in October of 2019, but in that fight, he still looked quite sharp and quite aggressive in his fight. So I think if he takes this aggressive pace right from the start, fires favoured 1-2s right down the centre, I think he can get Cowboy shook early on in this fight. So I think Joe is just going to repeatedly catch Cowboy early on with those straight punches, and Cowboy's not going to respond that great to them, and it's just going to force the referee to stop the fight early on in round number 1.